Russia wanted the world to believe it had already won in Pokrovsk. On October 26th, Russia's top general, Valery Gerasimov, proudly announced that the city was surrounded and that 31 Ukrainian battalions had no way out. He gave Ukraine a deadline, October 27th, to flee or be destroyed. The message sounded final, loud, and confident, as if Russia would claim victory the very next morning. But the next morning came, then another, and then several more. Now weeks have passed, and Pokrovsk is still standing. Instead of falling, the city has turned into a battlefield disaster that is costing Russia troops, morale, money, and control. Russia went in looking for a quick win, but Pokrovsk has become the place where Putin is losing everything. From the moment Russia claimed that Pokrovsk was encircled, the situation on the ground began to show a completely different story. Russia thought the city would break quickly. Instead, it became a trap for Russian soldiers. Troops enter the city again and again, but they do not come back out. Ukraine continues to strengthen its defenses, block Russian advances, and create conditions that lead to heavy Russian losses. What Russia hoped would be a fast victory has transformed into a slow, painful drain on its army. Pokrovsk is no longer just a city. It is a grinder, chewing through wave after wave of Russian assaults. On November 12th, the Kiev Post published a report showing just how serious the situation has become. According to Ukrainian intelligence and resistance group Atesh, Russia is losing troops so rapidly in Pokrovsk that the country is now running out of soldiers to send to fill the gaps. Russia is rushing reinforcements from other parts of Ukraine. Troops and equipment are being pulled from the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson fronts and thrown straight into the Pokrovsk battle. This movement weakens Russia everywhere else, giving Ukraine new openings to strike and reclaim land. But none of that matters to Putin. He wants Pokrovsk at any cost, even if achieving it means abandoning other areas of the front and creating dangerous holes in his own defenses. New Russian convoys are arriving in Pokrovsk, packed with troops who have no idea what they are walking into. According to Atesh, these soldiers are pushed into battle immediately, sometimes without being officially assigned to their new units. They barely have time to step off their trucks before they are ordered to attack Ukrainian lines. The rush is so extreme that soldiers are thrown directly into combat with no orientation, no preparation, and no understanding of the terrain. For many of them, this trip is one way. They will not return to the regions they were pulled from, and they will not survive long enough to protect the territories Russia has now left exposed. Even Russian sources admit morale among these troops is frighteningly low. Soldiers being transferred from areas they thought were stable are now facing Ukraine's drones, artillery, traps, and fortified positions. They can see what has happened to the units that were sent before them. As one Atesh source put it, Russia is sending fresh forces to certain death. This hopelessness is starting to break the Russian army from the inside. Russia's leadership may still talk confidently on television, but the soldiers on the ground know the truth. Pokrovsk is a battlefield shaped to destroy them. The intensity of Russia's attacks explains why the losses are so catastrophic. In the week before the Kiev Post's November 12th report, Russia launched 132 assaults on Pokrovsk. This was a 20% increase from the previous week. The scale alone shows that Putin believes Pokrovsk is close to falling, and that one last push will break Ukrainian defenses. But these attacks are not succeeding. Russia continues to fail in its attempts to take key buildings, especially high-rise structures that would give them valuable observation points. Ukraine knows exactly how dangerous these buildings would be in Russian hands, so Ukrainian forces have made sure to keep them out of Russian control. Russian soldiers can enter parts of the city, but once inside, they are blind. They cannot see Ukrainian movements, cannot organize effectively, and cannot hold ground. Ukraine uses this weakness to clear them out again and again. Russia's main focus has been the industrial northern district of Pokrovsk. Yet Ukraine still controls all the major access routes into this area. Russia cannot push in large numbers of reinforcements. It must attack in smaller, less effective groups that get stopped before making major gains. Russia has also tried advancing toward Hryshine, northwest of Pokrovsk. But those efforts have stalled too. Russia now finds itself trapped in a cycle. It needs to increase the number of assaults, but it does not have enough soldiers to do so effectively. So it pulls troops from other fronts, but that weakens its overall position. Then it sends those troops into Pokrovsk, where they quickly die. And still, the city does not fall. Things have become so desperate that Putin has started sending draft officers, the people who normally recruit soldiers, into Ukraine as punishment for failing to meet their recruitment quotas. These officers come from remote and poor regions, where Russia has long taken most of its frontline troops. Regions like Yakutia have supplied enormous numbers of soldiers for Russia's war effort, but now even these regions have reached their limits. The pool of poor, isolated men who can be pressured or bribed into fighting is shrinking fast. When recruitment officers fail to meet Putin's unrealistic demands, the officers themselves are sent to the front lines to die, Ukraine's intelligence service says this shows how unaware Putin is of the real situation and how desperate Russia has become to fill its ranks. Russia's financial situation is also worsening. In April, experts estimated that Russia had already spent half of its $106 billion liquid reserves to keep the war going. With Pokrovsk eating up more troops and resources every day, Russia may have only months of funding left. If Russia is forced to recruit from wealthier regions, something Putin wants to avoid at all costs, the cost of contracts may skyrocket either way. Russia cannot sustain this level of expenditure forever. Losses in Pokrovsk are staggering. In just 1 week, Ukraine's defenders killed 236 Russian soldiers and wounded 136 more. Russia also lost tanks, armoured vehicles, and dozens of transport vehicles. Throughout 2025, Russia has lost around 100,000 soldiers in the Pokrovsk direction alone. October was especially brutal, with about 25,000 Russian troops lost in that month. The pattern is devastating and unsustainable. Even if Russia eventually captures Pokrovsk, the victory may mean little. The city will be destroyed and impossible to use. The land behind it is heavily fortified with trenches, mines, barriers, and fallback positions Ukraine has prepared for a fighting retreat that will turn every inch of ground into a deadly challenge for Russian troops. And more importantly, the army Putin needs to push deeper into Ukraine will be too damaged, too exhausted, and too broken to continue effectively. Putin believes Pokrovsk will give him political leverage. He hopes to show the world that Russia can still capture important cities and pressure Ukraine or the West into giving up territory. But leverage only works if you have strength behind it. After Pokrovsk, Russia may have nothing left to support its demands. Pokrovsk was supposed to be a victory. Instead, it has become the place where Russia's manpower, recruitment system, and financial stability are collapsing. Putin may still be pushing forward, but every day he does, the cost grows higher. In the end, Pokrovsk may fall, but Putin's army may fall with it. Think about what we just covered. Russia has lost 100,000 soldiers fighting for one city. They're so desperate for troops that they're now sending the recruitment officers themselves to the front as punishment. This isn't a military strategy. This is a slow-motion collapse disguised as an offensive. If this analysis showed you what's really happening in Pokrovsk beyond the headlines, smash that like button and subscribe. We're breaking down the real numbers and battlefield reality that you won't get anywhere else. Here's the question I want you to answer in the comments. Can Russia actually win this war if capturing a single city costs them 100,000 troops? Even if they take Pokrovsk, will they have an army left to hold it? Let me know what you think below, because this math doesn't add up for Putin, and I want to hear if you see a way this ends that doesn't involve total Russian military exhaustion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.